Welcome to PhD&D here on YouTube. Back with another video. It will be hopefully one of my last for a little bit in regards to NPCs or non-player characters. Kind of on a little streak about talking about them in a lot of my videos, and I wanted to kind of wrap it up with a more all-inclusive video, if you will, to kind of show my theory, my philosophy on non-player characters in RPGs. I put a link below. Check that out before you watch my video, preferably if you can. It's about 3 minutes or so, I think, but it's really going to get into what I'm talking about today and really helps kind of highlight where I'm going with this. It's a little deep, but it's also very inspiring at the same time, so check that out and then continue watching this. I'm just going to go right ahead on talking about non-player characters. So first of all, after watching that video, and I've kind of had this theory and video in mind for a while, I just ran into the linked video yesterday and it kind of worked perfectly. It made me realize how in my games in the past, as well as games I've been a part of as a player, how truly empty a lot of NPCs are. How they're just there to serve their singular purpose, to give you that piece of information that's going to move the story along, to just basically be there for that, kind of like a video game NPC that's just going to stand there and help you move along through their single action. Now, also a lot of times I think people see NPCs as filler for their campaign setting, for their campaign world, for adventures. They kind of create a cool place and then they just want to fill it with people, which is great. You need to, but you cannot keep looking at NPCs as filler, or that's all they're going to be. That's what leads to that emptiness that I'm kind of talking about there. You have to completely shift the way you think about them. It's kind of like a paradigm shift, if you will. You just need to get away from the filler, from those empty NPCs, and get into something more real. In that video I linked to talks about how we're connected to the universe, which scientifically, I'm not getting on some spiritual level here with anything. How atoms in our bodies are linked to stars, to the beginnings of the universe, which there's a lot to each person. There's a great amount of connectivity. There's a great amount of meaning, depth, everything. And to not put that into players, and we're trying to create a world in our campaign usually, or at least make a setting come to life as a real world, to not put that same amount into our NPCs, we're not going to get the same type of effect. We're not going to get as real of a world, as alive of a world as we possibly could. Now, the way I see it, and I kind of link it to a popular phrase you hear, the Big Bang Theory, not the TV show, not at all, the actual Big Bang Theory, and I call this the Big Bang Theory of NPCs. And a way to look at them, that I like to look at them as, is each NPC in your campaign is a singularity. They're a single point. They're infinitely dense, which is what a singularity is. They have the capability of being as dense as you, the game master, and your players. If you're doing kind of a collective thing, there's infinitely dense as you're going to make them. That can be backgrounds, motivations, everything talked about in other videos of mine, as well as other people's videos here on YouTube. But you have to realize that those NPCs are infinitely dense, and that you can put as much into them as possible. And you need to put as much into them as you can. That way there's that level of connectivity again. You get them so detailed to use in your campaign, you can use them in more than one way. They're not just there to present a piece of information. They're connected with everything. You have to see that that NPC you're playing, they've got their own goals, they've got their own motivations. They're not aware that the PCs are the stars of the show. As a singularity, somebody doesn't have to be an egomaniac to think that the world revolves around them, because each of us our world does revolve around us. It's our life. We're doing our thing with our motivations, and we interact with others. That's how those NPCs need to be. They can't be there just to serve your player characters. That's a terrible approach there, because then they will be empty. They really will. So you've got to realize that they are infinitely dense. They've got their own world around them, and they need to act like that. It's going to bring everything to life so much better than before. With that, and kind of more into the Big Bang Theory part of it, as an infinitely dense singularity, this NPC, the denser they are, the greater the potential that they're going to explode with possibilities in your world. They're going to influence your world left and right. They're going to create hundreds of plot points. They're going to make everything that much more interesting. That's the Big Bang that I'm talking about. This infinitely dense non-player character has got so much built up in them. After you put all this time into creating everything about them, there's so many possibilities that the smallest thing your PCs do or something else in the world does can just set that off, and you've got a big bang of creativity just influencing your world everywhere, because that's what real people do. They influence the world around them. And take, for instance, well, right there, Albert Einstein. I have it because it's kind of an inspiring picture to me. But with all the knowledge he had, his personality, everything in him, and how dense, full of everything he was, look what he did for the world. Look how big of an impact he had. Now, your people that fill your taverns in your RPG world, they don't need something like that, but they can influence their city. They can influence others around them. They need to be interesting to create the best possible world for your RPG, for your game, because it will make it that much better. The denser they are, use that term, in the right way, the more they have packed into them, personality-wise, background-wise, all that, the greater the possibilities they have to have a big bang, to explode into your world, creating plot points, everything like I mentioned before. You have to start viewing non-player characters in this fashion if you want to truly take your game world and your game to the next level. There has to be that paradigm shift. We've got to stop putting in, empty NPCs that are just there to serve a purpose. Create a ton of excellent, very detailed NPCs that have all these goals, motivations, everything. They have their own lives centered around them, and then use them to get across that information. Don't create a whole new NPC just for the sole purpose of getting across information. Use the real ones. Use the ones that you've put time into. All this being said, you don't have to take hours upon hours upon hours creating hundreds and hundreds of NPCs. You can if you want to, but just put enough work into each one that is actually worth it. They're actually worth having in your campaign. They're worthy of your campaign. And I promise you it will pay off. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked that video that I linked you to. I hope you like this one. What are your thoughts on the matter? How do you view NPCs? I just really hope this helped, because it's all about how you look at it and how you approach it from that. So, thanks for watching again.